your National Account Executive at National Mortgage Professional Magazine, and I would like to welcome you to National Mortgage Professional Magazine's webinar titled Spring Training 2013, How to Power Up Your Purchase Promotions, sponsored and presented by Mortgage Success Source and Maximum Acceleration. I would like to thank all of our webinar attendees for taking the time out of their busy days for this valuable and informative webinar in our ongoing series of webinars. I would especially like to thank today's webinar sponsors and presenters, Maximum Acceleration and Mortgage Success Source. Maximum Acceleration is a professional coaching company built around the model known as the Business Planning Tool, which is organized by the Pyramid of Success. This model contains over 56 individual goals, over 3,000 action items that allow them to build a custom development plan for each of their clients, allowing their coaches and clients to focus on tactical skills, development, and refinement that will yield dramatic results. Mortgage Success Source brings together the power of the Mortgage Market Guide and Loan Toolbox as a central resource for mortgage originators to find all the tools they need to be successful in today's market. They are committed to providing you with strategies, information, and practical resources that help you work smarter, increase your loan volume, and generate leads. Today's webinar is being presented by a panel of mortgage industry all-stars. On today's call, we have our co-hosts, Erik, Janeczko, and Brad Korn. Erik Janeczko has been serving the industry since 1996 as a top producing originator, manager, and coach. In 2005, Erik was a key member of the team that built Maximum Acceleration and the business planning tool for Loan Toolbox. Erik was recently named one of the 40 most influential people under 40 by National Mortgage Professional Magazine. Today, as head coach CEO of Maximum Acceleration, he leads his team of coaches to create radical transformational growth for originators across the industry. Brad Korn is one of the industry's top coaches and trainers and has served on the faculty for the Keller Williams Real Estate Institute and the Maximum Acceleration coaching team. In addition, he is also one of the top producing real estate agents in the country with over 20 years of real estate experience, closing consistently over 100 real estate transactions per year in the last 10-plus years running. Brad thoroughly enjoys training thousands of agents and loan officers each year on how to accelerate their business through high-touch automation strategies. Brad and Erik are joined by an amazing lineup of industry all-stars that we will be introducing to you as they speak on this panel. Before we get started, we have a few poll questions that we wanted to ask just to get started with the webinar. So I'm going to launch the first one. It's going to show up on your screen, and I ask that you just please answer the question. I'll give you some time to answer it. What percentage of your business is purchase versus refi? And the choices are less than 25%, 25 to 50%, 50 to 75%, or more. It should say more than 75%. I'm sorry, that is an error. So it should say more than 75% on that last choice. So if you could just vote.
I'd love to see these poll numbers come through, man.
All right, I'm going to give you like another 5 seconds to vote, and then we will discuss the results. Okay, closing it up right now, and I will share the results with you. 29% of you said less than 25%. 39% of you said 25 to 50%. 18% of you said 50 to 75%, and 14% of you said more than 75%. Okay, we're going to do 2 more questions just to get a feel for your opinions on the market. This one says, what is happening to property values in your market? Are they declining, are they stable, appreciating, or booming? If you could vote now. All right, we've got another 5 seconds, then we're going to close this one. Okay, we're closing it, and I'll share the results with you. 7% of you said declining, 34% said stable, 52% said appreciating, and 6% said booming. Okay, and we're going to share our last question right now. If interest rates jump to 5.5%, what would you All right, we're going to close that poll, and I'll share the results with you. 2% of you said great, 37% said okay, 28% said sad, 29% said scary, and 3% said completely empty. Okay. With that, I just wanted to note that the PowerPoint presentation, also a recording of the webinar, and some supplemental materials will be sent out tomorrow to everyone who registered for the webinar. So you'll be able to refer back to it for future reference. I know a lot of times when we do webinars, we do get questions a lot. Will I be able to see the PowerPoint again? Yes, we're going to be sending out everything to you tomorrow. So you can take notes today, but don't go too crazy because you'll get the copy of the PowerPoint tomorrow. With that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to today's webinar co-hosts, Erik, Janeczko, and Brad Korn.
Awesome. Well, welcome everybody to today's program. I'm excited to see the poll questions come across because we put this program together a couple of months ago with the ideas and support of the Mortgage Success Source faculty and family of companies, and the leadership at MSS asked me to try and come up with a program that we thought would really hit the sweet spot of what originators are going to be struggling with, what you're needing in your business to grow to the next level. And we were all talking about this concept of the fact that, with interest rates where they are, burning out the potential refi boom, even if interest rates do stay incredibly low like they have for the last couple of months, last couple of years, in all honesty, that the transition to a purchase-based market is something that's always very difficult. Now, I've been doing this business since 1996, and when I first started in the business, my first experience was a very painful one. I was working for a fairly high-producing originator as a junior loan officer. That was me and four other team members worked underneath this one originator. We were as a team doing about 50 loans a month, but there was a problem we had in 1997 where the market jumped dramatically. We lost about 400 basis points of pricing in a 3-day period, and about 70% of our pipeline was refinanced loans that were not locked. So out of a 63-loan pipeline, 48 loans disappeared overnight. And myself and one other guy were out on the streets looking for a job, and that's kind of when I went out on my own as an originator in early 1997 is when all that happened. So this has always been something that's been kind of near and dear to my heart. How do we make the transition? And in fact, I spent a lot of time, energy, and effort teaching my coaching clients over the years is how to build a stable, sustainable, and solid flowing purchase business. And so in today's program, what we're going to be walking you through is best ideas and practices for being able to establish a solid, profitable, and sustainable flow of purchase business. Now, as part of this project, recently we launched what we call the Home Opportunity Initiative as part of and a part of that campaign or program was called the Make a Difference Challenge. Basically challenging our clients to reach out to community leaders, real estate agents, financial planners, CPAs, business owners, and influential people in the community about making a difference and getting the word out to the people who are disengaged with what's going on in the real estate market and how incredibly powerful of an opportunity it is to buy a home right now. So a couple of key things that I wanted to introduce you to as we kick off today's program is sort of why we want to focus on making a difference. Why do we care about trying to take things to another level and get in front of people and introduce them to this Home Opportunity Initiative and what this is all about? Well, a lot of it comes down to the combination of a couple of perfect opportunities. All the stars have aligned to create for us what is, I think what will remain in history, one of the most outstanding times of home affordability ever. And it certainly is much better than I think any of us on this call have ever experienced in our careers. And if you look at the empirical data, the historical research, you'd have to go all the way back to probably the time of Moses to find housing opportunities as affordable as they are right now. And the combination of that comes into a couple of factors. So the first thing we want to think about when it comes to why do we want to take the extra effort and try to make a difference in our community by picking up the gauntlet.
Erik, you're watering out on us. You're watering us out. Try and get back in there again. We're losing you.
Okay. All right. Well, what I'm going to work on, guys, is...
Oh, you're still out, Erik. Erik, you're still out.
Brad, take over.
All right, he's going to work on his sound here. to be able to hear what he was talking about. And basically, Erik is constantly working to make the industry better for everybody and figure up a value. And here's the big thing. The crew that you guys have on the webinar today and with Maximum Acceleration and what we do is to protect our industry. This is your guys' industry. It's so important that we're doing everything we can to basically show the difference between owning, helping you guys run your businesses better. We want these people to buy properties. You make money when you sell loans. You make money when you refi. Realtors make money when they sell houses. So that's where a lot of this mind power comes from when we put all these webinars together, is to help you guys run your businesses better so that we can protect this industry and have a lifestyle for our families and a solid business to grow on. So Erik, are you back in? Did you go to a landline? Are you back with us yet? The fun thing about technology, guys, is you never know till you go live when something's going to happen. And just so you guys know, too, whenever you are on a webinar, because I know this shows up a lot of times where people sound like they're underwater or video doesn't work or any of that kind of stuff. A lot of that is just the internet bandwidth that we're on will slow things down. And it's just for the people who really wanted to figure it out. It's not like Erik jumped into the bathtub and started giving us the rest of his webinar. But Erik, where do you want to go with this? Are you back on?
Yes, I am back online. Can you all hear me all right?
There you go. Cool. You're perfect.
Awesome. Well, guys, you know, the whole concept of what we were talking about and what this entire focus of this webinar is about powering up your purchase pipeline and your ability to reach out and make a difference with the people who can benefit. And that's where really the conversation is going to start today, which is who can really benefit from this unprecedented housing opportunity and what are the factors that make it such a huge urgency for us as an industry to evolve and move towards aggressively. You know, I mean, some of the things that we think about is, you know, who can benefit. You know, obviously people who can rent versus buy. We've done comparisons in pretty much every major market across the country. I mean, think about in your market, what is the average rent prices in your area and how much house can people buy for the money? You know, we recently ran one in the Kansas City metro area. The average rent probably is $1,000 to $1,200 a month. You know, we're talking $180,000 to $190,000 home in the current market with interest rates where they are. We worked with clients in the Northeast and Long Island, New York area, average rental rate being $2,500 a month, plus or minus. Well, at 6% interest rates, that's only a $416,000 loan, but at 4% interest rates, that's a $523,000 loan. So think about what an extra $106,000 in home means to the borrowers and buyers in that area. So that's one of the key opportunities. Is you know, one of the best opportunities is the guy who's just he's just kept his nose clean, paid his bills on time, and has done what he felt like was going to be the safe thing of continuing to rent. The second thing is, you know, the people who are have the opportunity to upgrade. The people who bought a home 4, 5, 6 years ago when interest rates were 6%, how much more home could they afford? And maybe the house that they've outgrown because they've had a couple of extra children in the last 5, 6 years, you know, they're squeezed, and they really would love to move to a bigger home, but they don't think they can because they're thinking about what houses cost 5 years ago at 6% interest rates, not with what their buying power is in today's money and in today's market. So all of these create a window of opportunity, but it is a limited window of opportunity. Now, what you guys are looking at these are actually the interest rate charts, candlestick charts from the Mortgage Market Guide directly. I pulled these off a couple of days ago. This is a 2-year about a year-and-a-half snapshot that we're looking at right now. We saw interest rates, by the way, up is good, down is bad, green is positive movement for pricing, red is negative movement for pricing. So we saw rates get really good and then dip back and then get super, super good back in late 2012, August through September, October, November of 2012. And then we fell off into we've been in a declining interest rate environment for quite a while. You guys have all seen this on your rate sheet, so I'm not telling you something you don't know. But here's, you see this big, thick red line right in the middle of the chart. I know it's not the perfect screenshot to give you guys here. But what's happening is over the last couple of weeks, we've been beating our head against that ceiling, which was a floor of support, between August and November of last year, has now become a ceiling that we are fighting to try and break through. So as we drill into a little bit tighter time frame, this is I think this is the 3-month or 6-month snapshot. All of these resistance points and all of these bottoms of these troughs, these points where you see my mouse right now, which I don't think you see my mouse right now, now that I think about it. Here, let me see if I can spotlight this for you guys. There you go. Okay, so every one of these little dip points in the charting cycles is now a resistance that we are going to have to fight back through if we're going to see improving rates. The other thing that you'll begin to recognize here is that we are showing signs of a definite downtrend up until just recently. Now, in the since I pulled this chart Friday and I haven't had time to look at it since. But the practical reality is we've got a whole lot of built-up steam to indicate that we're probably looking at a declining interest rate market over the coming several months. In addition to that, especially based on the response to the poll questions you all indicated, the likelihood is that we are going to see property values begin to start really taking off. Here's the thing. Like for example, I was at a conference out here in Orange County yesterday morning, and I did a survey of the room out here in Orange County. The great majority of the room is dealing with buyers who are seeing multiple offers on properties. Fred, I'm sure you'll be able to confirm some of this as we move into your segment of the program. But guys, these are the warning signs, the initial growing pains, the labor pains, if you want to call them, of the next housing boom beginning to kick off. So my challenge to all of you as we go through today's program is to be thinking about who are the people that you can help with this amazing homeownership opportunity, and what do we need to be doing to wake them up and shake them up and get in their face and let them know the opportunity that they're about to walk away from. I mean, think about it. How many people in your community would no longer be able to afford a home if interest rates climbed 1.5 to 2 points in interest rate, note rate, and if property values took off and soared another 5 to 10% in property value over the next 12 months? How many families in your town all of a sudden are no longer going to be able to afford to buy a home and move out of renting? Or they're going to be in a position where the home they really need for the size of their family is going to be out of reach because they won't be able to afford it. And the likelihood or probability, I don't know what your guys' projection on this, but based on what I see, review and analysis of the industry, is that we're not going to see stated income come back at any major or aggressive level. We're not going to see pay option arms and interest-only loans that allow people to get into larger homes with a small payment, because those are high-risk products. We hopefully, as an industry, learn our lesson from the failures of the last 5 years. So what do we need to do right now to be getting the message out there to people who can benefit from this amazing housing opportunity before that window of opportunity snaps shut? Well, the last thing I want to share with you before I hand off to our next presenter is it's kind of like mining. We're going to go through tens of thousands of tons of dirt to put it through this complicated system of wash plan to come out with a couple little nuggets that are worth thousands of dollars an ounce, right? You guys have all seen the shows, the mining shows that are on TV these days. Well, what we're looking for is we're not looking to browbeat anybody. We're not looking to force somebody into something that's not good for them, but we need to help them understand what really they could benefit. The whole concept of today's program is about finding a need, and if we find a need, we will find a lead. So what today's program is going to be about is how do we get the initiative out there, how do we get the word out, how do we create massive impact in minimum time to be able to help people understand whether now is the best time in history for them to buy a home or to move into a better situation for their family. And so we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. One of the things that we're also going to be talking about along the way is we are going to be talking a little bit about how we can leverage some of the resources and capabilities that are all around us. And I want to hit this very, very quickly and then jump into our next presenter here. But not only is it the effort that we have and that we have the potential to capitalize on, but what about if we team up with somebody else? Now, I've used this analogy for years. We call it the horsepower analogy. Where this comes from is there was a group of scientists around the turn of the last century that were studying how to come up with a unit of weight or a unit of measure for a large amount of force. And at the time, the draft horse was the primary source of power for a large amount, carrying a heavy load or hauling a heavy load, right? So they were doing these weight test studies. They realized that one horse by himself could pull about 12,000 pounds of pull. Two horses working independently, obviously, you get double the results, 24,000 pounds of pull. Now, the problem the scientists ran into is when they really tried to take it to another level and they got two horses pulling together hitched to the same load, the record is over 104,000 pounds of pull, or roughly 8 times the results of one pulling by himself. So let's talk about how that works in the real estate business and in the purchase business. Frequently we talk about teaming up with agents, right? One loan officer and one agent are good for about 15 leads a month. Independently would be about 30 leads a month. And it's that sort of tit-for-tat referral relationship. You send me a deal, I'll send you a deal type of thing. But what if we change the dynamic of that? What if we really work in concert? We team up where we are really in total alignment and we plan together and work together to create massive results. If the 8 times result still holds, it'd be over 120 leads a month that we could partner together to create with the agents that we have the opportunity to work with. Now, some of you are probably thinking that's totally nuts, that's impossible, but suspend that thought for just a second, and let's explore over the next 90 minutes what it would take to actually create that kind of synergy and that kind of. I think what you'll find is over the program that you're going to hear from our panel of experts and presenters today, I think you're going to begin to realize that that 120 leads a month is not out of reach. It's not impossible. It is possible to have that kind of impact on your community. And so what I'm going to do is hand off to Mr. Fred Arnold right now. Mr. Fred Arnold is one of the more successful and experienced originators in the Southern California market. Fred is also a former past president of the California Association of Mortgage Professionals and also sits and serves on the board for the National Association of Mortgage Professionals. Currently, I believe this 2013 year, you are the treasurer of that organization. Is that correct, Fred?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, definitely. And what impressed me about Fred is he's very good at making a huge difference and really massive impact in his community and his market. So, Fred, I'm going to let you kind of take it over, how you leverage media to make a big difference.
First thing I want to play off one of the slides you just had, and that is when you're mining, mine where the gold is. Don't go mine a mountain that doesn't have gold on it. Don't go after individuals that don't love, like, and trust you to begin with. Go mine mountains where there's already gold. And that goes into the discussion of purchase versus refi. And I'm going to say something that some people might just completely disagree with and some people might love, and that is I love refis. The refis, if I do a great job, allow me to solidify a relationship with a family so that I can get future referrals to my realtors because they already trust me. Remember, love, like, and trust. Do they love, like, and trust you? In fact, a lot of family members will love you, but they don't trust you, so you got to build that. A lot of neighbors will like you, but not maybe trust you or not love you yet. But people that you refi, that you lowered their payment, that you helped them out, that's kind of your base. That's if you did a good job and did a couple hundred refis in the last year and a half, go deep with those individuals. Find out when their kids are buying so you can refer back to an agent so you can be the person that finds the gold. Now, I learned from my good friend Todd Duncan a long time ago, the person who has the gold makes the rules. And if you're able to find the leads, if you're able to refer quality, if you're able to come from a side of abundance, you will be successful. And it's a complete mindset you have to change. It's not what can you do for me, it's what can I do to help you build your business and help you be successful. What can I do to help you grow your family, achieve its dreams and goals in life with financial success? What can I be a resource to you? It comes completely from a side of abundance. You know, over the last 22 years, 3 months, and 2 days I've been in the business, I loved refis because it fed this side of people trusting me so I can get future business. I also went deep into the community, And I said to myself, what can I do in my community to be the go-to individual when it comes to mortgage loans? And go to my regular community. I went to my community of realtors, financial planners, and so I'll share with you that. First thing is, I produce a magazine every month. It's called, actually I don't produce it, I pay for it and have it printed for me, but I do something specific with it. It's called American Lifestyle Magazine. It was actually designed for real estate agents to send out to their top 50 to 250 clients. I currently send it to 300 of my top clients. And the front cover, I customize. It's really nice. It's almost like a high-end magazine, lifestyle type magazine. And you can brand the front cover with your picture or not, and it's always got something attractive on the cover, besides, of course, your pretty face, right? It's always got some nice picture of a house or of an event or of the season or you name it. But the inside cover lets me customize whatever I want. Whatever message I want to do, I could just customize those 2 or 3 paragraphs. But that's not what's big. What was big for me was, if you look on the right side, see where it says Referrals by Fred, that little section right there that Erik is highlighting? That area I use to refer my business partners, those that love, like, and trust me, that refer me business, whether they own a business, whether they're a real estate agent, whether they're my CPA, my financial planner, those that love, like, and trust me, and we do business together. I send this out to my top 250 clients. And this comes from a side of abundance. I don't sell them space in there. I don't say you got to pay me $25 a month to help pay for this. I just give it to them to try to get them a little more business and show that I'm interested in having them grow the business. That's where you need to come from a side of, not where you're getting into someone's pockets and co-marketing so they can pay for it, but what can you offer other people to enhance their business, their profession, and their life. And so this has been a great tool. We have about half the pages covered, and I apologize. I was trying to get on this particular screen. On the left side is the very front cover right there. Is the back of the front cover where this little message is right to the right there, a little bit to the right there. The Referrals by Fred is the inside back cover, and then the bottom, where it's got a picture of my family at the bottom, that's just branding that I do on the back side. And it has a picture of my family and what really my core values are. It talks a little bit about refinance and purchase, but it really talks about me helping you achieve your goals and dreams. And part of my main core values are my wife and 4 children, and so I share that. And I think that's really important message. So come from a side of abundance, not from a side of need. Come from a side to where you want to offer more. So that's one way you can do it. And you can have a Referrals by Fred, or I know Derek's coming up soon, Referrals by Derek on your website, which costs next to nothing. So let's go to the next slide. On the next slide, I think I have my, if my memory's right, my TV show. Will you slide that up next, Brad? Or?
Getting there, Fred. Yeah, we.
Perfect.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you. Thank you. So we organized this to where I think that you guys are forwarding the slides, so you didn't have 8 of us doing it. I wanted to go out in the community, and I want to do something a little bit different, because video is so important when it comes to identifying businesses. If you type in a name of a business and you've got video in the local community, it comes up one of the first 2 or 3, because Google owns YouTube. And so if you had a video in your local community on going after listings, and let's say the 5 tips on the 5 secrets on selling your house, and you did a video on it, and you put your name in it, bam, the first thing that's going to come up is that video, because Google and YouTube are partners, and Google has put emphasis on video. And so I said, I'd like to do something different. How about if I interviewed business owners in my community, both real estate agents, financial planners, business owners, someone that has a product or service that can help people get out of the rough. See, some time back I was doing a speech with my friend Troy McLean. Troy McLean was doing a show called On the Hook. Hey, I got you on the hook. And what he would do is he would take guys fishing, and he'd ask them questions because he wanted to get them on the hook and get them on video and ask them about their book or about their success. So I was sitting with Troy, and I said, hey, I like playing golf. He goes, well, why don't you help people get out of the rough? It became the metaphor for my TV show, Out of the Rough. And what I do is I interview people for 6-minute segments on how their product or service can help people get out of the rough. Where I had great success with this is interviewing real estate agents on the 5 secrets of listing their home to get their house sold for top dollar. The 3 secrets on getting your offer accepted. What you should look for when it comes to a reverse mortgage. So what I did is I went in the community and found individuals, and within my own company, and found individuals that had a message for the listeners out there, for the community. And all I did is I went to the local nonprofit company. Everyone has it, a nonprofit TV company. It's called SCV TV, where we live, Santa Cruz Valley TV, and it's nonprofit. And for minimal dollars, you can buy time at the local TV station where they can film it and they'll edit it for you. I created a partnership with them. We have this TV show called Out of the Rough. I've done about 220 interviews. And again, it's all about going and interviewing those that have a message to help get consumers out of the rough. Now, it serves 2 purposes. One, I can kind of meet whoever I want in town and interview them on something that's going to help other people. 2, it helps my consumers and community consumers on these different subject matters of out of the rough. And 3, it comes from a side of abundance. You don't need to spend money to be on my TV show. You don't need to sponsor. You don't need to refer me business. You don't need to do anything. You could just, as long as you're involved in the community and you have a good message, get on my show. When I do these shows, I do 26-minute interviews at one time, and they break them into 24-minute shows. So we end up getting, I think, 5 shows in. So it ends up working out fantastic because it's minimal cost. It's nonprofit TV. Now, you can do this exact same thing by getting a camera and just getting your local realtor and saying, hey, John, tell me the secrets to home inspection. We're doing a home inspection here at the Joneses. What are 3 tips? Bam, bam, bam. What are 3 tips to get your offer accepted? Bam, bam, bam. Be that resource, because these real estate agents, they're nervous about doing it. They've never done it before, but if they're thrown the softball questions. Now, the most important thing is make sure they're a little bit prepared so they're point, bam, bam, bam. And just ask them the questions naturally. Go ahead and edit it, throw it on YouTube. It doesn't cost any money for YouTube. And you can interview anybody. You can really make a difference in real estate agents' lives. I can speak with any real estate agent in town that I want to speak to through my TV show by just interviewing them and having some dialogue with them. So go ahead and let's go to the next slide. And if there's any, I got about 2 minutes left, so I'm going to go quick. And I'm used to speaking quickly, so if you have any questions, just throw them up there. Last thing is, last 2 items. One, monthly co-branded newsletter. I went into, I believe in farming. Farming is really important. And what farming is going into a community with the real estate agent and helping them market themselves and yourself. You're going to get a lot of purchase opportunities when people list their house with that real estate agent, and you're going to get refi opportunities. So what I do is I'll write an article in the Santa Cruz Estate News. This is with one particular real estate agent. You could do it 4 or 5, and we send this into a farm. So I participate in co-branding with the realtors. And give me one more slide, Eric. So this is something, it's easy to do. And last but not least, I developed a blog, and this is, again, one of the many tools that I use. I probably have 10 tools in my toolbox I use, but hopefully there's something here that you like and you can run with. I do a blog, and it's really inexpensive. I happen to set this up with the guys over at Think Big, Work Small. I spent a couple bucks to do it. I know Mike Madsen is going to talk a little bit. He's an expert when it comes to blogging. But I set this blog up, and all I do is I throw up my Friday newsletter. I have a Friday newsletter that talks about the state of the economy. And in my Friday newsletter, I include a video, and I include a joke. I got that from Rob Chrisman. Everyone likes Rob Chrisman's newsletter because it's got a joke at the bottom. So I started doing that, but I throw everything, all my videos, all my Friday emails, out on my blog. And what happens is the search engines pick it up. So by doing this and by throwing it up on YouTube and the blog, every time you do an interview, a real estate agent, all of a sudden you type in that real estate agent's name, right there comes the video of you interviewing them. Why is that important? Not because you're interviewing them, but the fact that you're making that real estate agent or business professional look great. See, guys, when you come from a side of abundance, where you're not worried about your next deal, you're going to have more business than you can ever imagine because you're helping others achieve their dreams and goals in life. And that's the message I want to give in my 8 to 10 minute discussion today is, what are you doing? It doesn't have to be video. It could be something else. But what are you doing to build abundance so that people want to do business with you? Is there a likability factor? Are you a giver or are you a taker? So with that, I'll turn it back over to Erik, and I appreciate the opportunity to participate.
All right, guys, so here's what I took away from that program. One is that you can leverage resources and do, Fred has done some great things to get some ideas together that gets information out there to his audience. It helps support his business development partners in his community, the business owners, the restaurant owners. You saw some of that on his stuff. And then what he does is he takes that from that cable access TV show, he takes the video of it, a 6-minute interview, puts it on his YouTube channel, which builds his search ranking, and then feeds it back to his blog, which creates that SEO optimization effect, which Mark Madsen's going to talk a little bit more about. The whole idea here is, number one, is that Fred, and I know this is producing amazing results for you, is that he's getting out there, he's getting the message on there, he's talking to the people that need to hear his message, and getting that information out there. Fred, thank you, by the way, for your time. I know you got to jump off and head on to your next appointment. I appreciate you taking the time with us today. All right, our next panelist coming up is Miss Linda Davidson. Linda, be gearing up and unmuting yourself and get ready to present. Don't forget, by the way, to tell me to advance your slides. Guys, hopefully you're enjoying today's program, and hopefully you're getting a lot of value out of it already. We're going to keep rolling right on through this thing. One thing I did forget to mention at the beginning of the call, some of you may have gotten a little bit of misinformation that this was going to be a 1-hour program. This is actually a 90-minute program. We're going to be going until about 10:30 Pacific, 12:30 Central Time. Those of you who do have to jump off a little bit early, remember you will have access to the webinar, but you will definitely want to make sure you come back and check out the rest of this video. We're going to be taking a couple of different stopping points along the way. To just reconfirm some information and encourage you to take some action with the ideas that you've shared. Linda, are you ready to get started here?
I am ready.
Awesome. All right, well, just a very quick introduction. Linda, if you guys have not had the opportunity to hear Linda before, Linda is probably one of the top originators in the country based out of I guess it's Dallas, Texas area, correct?
Garland, but it's close enough, yes.
Close enough, okay. In Texas. And the reason I asked Linda to be on today's program is because, one, she's kind of branded herself this way, I guess someone on purpose in this industry, but what amazed me is she's taken a leadership element from the idea of being the true expert in the product and in the market knowledge. For those of you who don't know, very top producing agent, loan officer over the years, as well as also being a DE underwriter, which has given her, and she'll talk a little bit more about that during the program. So Ms. Linda, why don't you take it away?
Awesome. Well, I want to talk a little bit about branding yourself as an expert. And that's one of the things that I really feel strongly that has helped our business tremendously. And for those of you who know my story, I grew up in government housing, and so I'm very, very passionate about that low to moderate client. And so I really get that client. Go ahead and go to the next slide, Erik, on that. I know my niche. I know what I'm really, really good at. But interesting enough, even though we really push FHA, VA, and USDA in everything we do, 38% of my business is conventional. And so even though you are branding yourself, when you do brand yourself, you become the expert. So I was listening to a radio station several years ago, and they still actually do this on the radio. And it was a doctor who was a plastic surgeon, and he had what's called mommy makeovers. And I was listening to this, and I thought, this is the best thing I've ever heard, because when all a mommy makeover is a tummy tuck or, whatever. But because he branded it as a niche, then he has more business than he can handle. But he's still just a plastic surgeon. But who else is still a plastic surgeon? He's the mommy makeover expert. So this is what I kind of want to bring into play when we're talking about branding yourself as an expert. So again, my branding that we work on very heavily is that FHA, VA, and USDA. So we do In the Trenches updates every Sunday afternoon. I write an In the Trenches update. We mainly focus on FHA, VA, and USDA, what's happening, what's going on, those kind of things. We also, every person on our team that touches a loan has their DE underwriting certification. We do that intentionally so that it's great marketing. It's also great knowledge, but it's great marketing also just in the fact that they know that they're talking not only to a loan officer, they're talking to someone that has their underwriting designation. When we're working with our agents, and 65% of our business comes from realtors, and so we did last year 18% of our business was refi. The remainder was purchase. We're very purchase driven. Our average loan size is $135,000. So not a lot of refis, some with our past clients, but just because of the lower loan size, it doesn't make a lot of sense because we're in a very high cost state. Back to the team concept though. We make our realtors look good. We give them information they can pass on to their people. We make them raving fans because they know that we know the product, we know that we know our guidelines well, we know them better than, we want to be as good as the underwriter at any time. And then we're always the go-to person in the education of our referring partners on our niche, education to them, making them look good when they go out to talk to their clients. They know what they're talking about because we're giving them that information. And then we also do local targeting marketing. And because 65% of our business is realtor-based, then at that point we focus on marketing to our realtors and our past clients. That's really where we do our marketing to, which in turn just allows us to allow our business to continue to grow. All right, so if you will, and you know, one of the things that I want to bring up, what we've done is it's duplicated over and over and over again, and go on to the next slide. It's duplicated over and over and over again. Anytime that I've brought a loan officer into the branch, we've been able to double their business, if not more, by duplicating exactly what we've created in systems. For those who know me well, know that I am so system-oriented, and we kind of talk about it being systemized with a personal feel. But everything that we do has intentional and specific touch points. And those we call non-negotiable daily disciplines. We took that years ago from Building Champions. And it is and we do this every single day. These are non-negotiables. They're every single day we do these as part of our routine. So we're going to talk a little bit real quickly on what those non-negotiables are. The non-negotiables for our touch points for our referring partners is I contact 5 referring partners per day. We typically just leave a message for them. We appreciate you. We really appreciate your trust. We appreciate your business. Thank you so much. That's pretty much the gist of. We use Slide Out to give their voicemail a lot, just literally because we just want them to let them know we appreciate them. We post on Facebook. We send out breaking news. Again, we do texts of updates and things that are upcoming, like the new FHA changes. And then again, I do the mortgage market guide that we send out. But in addition to the mortgage market guide, I send an In the Trenches. This is what's going on this next week, or this is about what's changing with FHA or the USDA changes or whatever. So again, we're branding ourselves, plus we're doing intentional touch points that we're the expert. And specific intentional touch points after a pre-qualification, we are very specific on what has to happen. As soon as a client calls in, that client is scheduled and calendared. We calendar all our pre-quals. And when I know people look at that and say, oh my gosh, don't you talk to them immediately? No, we calendar them because, number one, I don't want them sitting in front of a Walmart line. It is their personal individual time when we sell that in the scripting. So we talk to them, and when we know what time we've calendared, that our team calls the agent immediately and says they're going to talk to them at 3 o'clock today. You should get a phone call by 3:30, so that they know exactly. So there's no calling in to say, you know, have you heard from them? Have you heard from them? Because our whole goal is our phone never rings unless it's new business, because we want to be so intentional in our touch points and specific touch points that we do on every single thing. The next thing on the pre-qualifications, as soon as we've talked to them, we immediately call the agent. We email with a pre-qual letter. We send we schedule on our calendar immediately for follow-up. We send a thank you note. We do specific things in our system that do a tracking system and a drip campaign, and then we go to the next one. So it's very routine. It literally will take 3 minutes to do that next step, but then the specific point after the homework list. We send immediately a homework list to, and the HOME is intentional, the homework list. We send homework lists over to our clients. We use a template, and we just take out what we don't need or whatever. And it also tells them the next step so that they know the next step. This is what I need you to do, the next step, and this is how you get that homework list to me. Once we have gotten the homework list to them, we pre-underwrite, because again, we're underwriters in the front end. We pre-underwrite the loan. We go ahead and call the agent. We call the buyer. We send a pre-approval letter, and we set it up on the touch points again to go ahead and follow up with them until they have a contract. The next one that we do is when we get a contract. When we get the contract, we have specific intentional touch points from there. We call the listing agent and the selling agent, thank them for the business immediately. We cover the terms of the note, terms of the contract with the buyer's agent to make sure that we have everything. And then from there, it goes to the processor. The processor has specific touch points that they are to use also. And these specific touch points are when they get the file, when the appraisal comes in, when we have clear to close, and when the HUD-1 is in. Then I'm going to call them immediately and then do congratulations by phone and by email, ask for business, and say thank you so much for working with me. And then it starts all over again in the specific intentional touch points after closing, which is just we then assume they're our referring partners, and we keep going from there. That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ms. Linda, for the wonderful information you've shared. Guys, the next step in what we talk about today, and I know that that some of you may have been miscommunicated that this was going to be a 60-minute program instead of a 90. So I'm going to share with you just one quick thing that we can do to get more out of today's event. Take one idea, do something with it. Take the time you invested the time to learn this information. Now let's take something and do something with it. Some of what I heard in Ms. Linda's program is, one, the importance of branding, and by branding meaning labeling something, giving something significance, giving it life. The second thing that I took away from Ms. Linda's program is the importance of consistency. Build the communication outlines, build the scripts, if you want to call them that, that you and your team and future team will be using, and systemize it. If you create that instruction manual or operations manual, kind of like Ms. Linda, and I know her team does this, that is one way of creating that consistency and efficiency that's going to allow you to work on a much higher level, much more consistently. By the way, those of you who do have to jump off right here at the top of the hour, one last thing, all the information, tools, and resources are available on our website, mxlcoach.com. In addition, you'll be getting the PowerPoints and everything. If you are interested in getting some more direct assistance from our coaching team, here's how to get it, mxlcoach.com/strategy. You'll sign up for a free coaching session. I'll let you experience what that's all about, and that'll help you take some ideas and put them into action. But you've invested the time already. Take the initiative and pull it all the way through to action. All right, as we move into the next program, Mr. Brad Korn is actually going to be sharing with us some of the tricks and trade secrets from the real estate side of the business, and how partnering and some of what Brad has learned as a coach of mortgage professionals multiple times over the last 8 years, as well as being a top-notch real estate agent. Give us the kind of the other side of the coin example or guidance on what we can do to better partner with the realtors in our communities to make a big difference and attack this housing opportunity initiative.
All right, thanks, Eric. So one of the things, guys, so far, just from 2 speakers already today, and we still have another lineup coming, you're getting a ton of information. I can tell by the questions that you guys are asking that you're getting some great information. We've got people popping ideas up here. It's like, oh, man, I should do that. I should do that video thing. So I am like Mr. Implementation. So what I wanted to really cover during this part is just give you an idea of how you can use some of the information you've already gotten so far and actually put it into action. And then take the same idea when our other speakers come on and put those into action. Go ahead and kick me the next slide, Eric. So what this is really about is, one of the things I coach people on is how to reconnect with the people that are already in your database. Guys, there's a lot of information, and there's several questions on here about, you know, the inventory's real low. We got competing bids on offers. You know, when the new construction picks up, is that going to help values and all that other stuff? So here's the thing. One thing I learned early on in real estate when I got in, and Gary Keller that started Keller Williams is the one that told me this. He said, Brad, your business doesn't depend on whether the market's up or down. It's how well you're connected with the people in your database. So with all this information that you guys have already gotten so far today, if you could just take this opportunity or a call where you can just call people and talk to them about the ideas that you've heard on this webinar today. Get your database, get your local realtors, get your financial planners, get your CPAs involved in what you just learned today so far. Take your top 5, 10, 15 ideas, and these become talking points. So one of the great things that we at Maximum Acceleration have coached our loan officer clients on in their business is how to just make a call, just an evaluation call to figure out what needs these people have. So there's a really great way. Go ahead and go to the next slide, Eric. It's really just a review of what they currently have. What interest rate are they at? How old are their kids? Do they have college coming up? All this stuff that we can really find so much business from the database that you already have, from the people that you already have, their address, their phone number, their emails. They know who you are, you know who they are. And I'm going to give you a to connect with these people. But if you just look at the slide here, it's just this review call just gives you the opportunity to call up and talk about things. You know, are they prepared for what's going on? When you call them, there's no intention to make them come into the office and fill out any applications and do anything. Really, just make them feel safe. Let them know that you're just calling to touch base. And here's a great opening line. I want you to write this down. I was just on the most incredible information call today that was talking about so many things going on in the market, and I just had to share it with somebody. So you were the first person I thought of, and I called you to share this with you. That makes them feel safe, like, wow, cool, what's going on? Then you can get into the conversations wherever anything strikes you in this call today on things that you're picking up on, whether it's a great time to buy, whether they can get more house for less money. I mean, these are just ideas and suggestions on you guys getting into conversation with these people, talk without the intent of having to go get a loan right now. Here's the thing I figured out as a coach. You go to the next slide, Eric. Here's the thing I figured out as a coach. If we can just get you to pick up the phone and actually dial some telephone numbers and get a person on the other end of the line, you guys know what to do when somebody answers the phone. You don't have to worry about chasing down the next deal. When you stay in touch with people, you can share all this information you get all the time and earn their trust, and they're going to call you when they get ready to do something. Or if you're really good at listening and not necessarily selling them something when they pick up the phone and telling them how great rates are and why they should own, if you turn around and start listening, you're going to hear all kinds of triggers about whether they could pay for college or whether they could use an extra $300 a month because they got to buy cars for their kids, whatever. So on that home upgrade review, this just shows you kind of an outline of just some different things that you can do. And we got a lot of follow-up pieces, all that other stuff. So make calls to the clients that brought you you brought during other periods. I used to have some clients that they would literally, if the rates would drop a point or a point and a half, they'd call their clients every 6 months. One guy actually refied somebody. Now, this was in the good days. I understand that. But he refied a guy, I think, 4 times in 12 months because the rates just kept dropping. I understand that's not happening today, but what I want you to get out of that is there's opportunity right in front of you guys. Okay, Eric, go to the next slide. I know this is just a lot of information. This shows you some samples. You guys are going to have a copy of this webinar so you can refer back to this stuff. So go ahead, Eric, and go on to the next slide. I want to give them the quick 4 points on how you can reconnect with your database. Here's the deal. If you just send out a letter, and we have access to that letter on our call. If you've registered for our webinars in the past, we've talked about the reconnect letter. Basically, this letter just says something along the lines of, hey, I was just thinking of you today and realized I haven't stayed in touch very well. I'm going to call you in the next few days and see that we were just talking about and use those as your talking points. All you're going to do is send this letter, and the key thing is that it says, I will call you in the next few days. Here's your tip. Send out 5 letters a day. Start at the A's in the front of your database. The first 5 A's you come to, no matter who they are, mail the letter. The next 5 A's, mail the letter tomorrow. The next 5 B's, mail the letter 3 days from now. And then schedule 5 calls 3 to 4 or 5 days from now so that after they get the letter and open it up, the phone rings within a day or two. Just let the conversations roll. You guys have gotten so much information here. It is just, you have plenty of things to talk about. So here's the deal. Send the letter, make a call 2 to 3 days later, and here's the magic part. This is where you amplify the results, and it does not matter whether the market's up or down. You will find business. Drop them a handwritten note in the mail. And there's a power piece to this if you can write it without the words I, me, or my in it, and just say something, what a pleasure talking to you today. It was really great connecting. Thank you so much for picking up the phone. So exciting to hear what's going on with you and your family. Guys, I didn't use the word I, me, or my in that at all. The only reason I can rip that off like that is because I write those notes every day. So write 5 notes a day, making those calls, follow up with a note, and I'm telling you what, if you just do that, now I said a 4-step process. If you do those 3 steps, your business will grow this year. The 4th step is to put them on some kind of automated systematic follow-up. Now that systematic follow-up can be emails or mail or whatever, and you got all kinds of content coming through this webinar that you can even use as that follow-up pieces. Okay, next slide. Oh, Eric, there was one slide there. If you go to make the phone ring again, you can get some more information about these reconnect letter and managing your database. Okay, go ahead, next slide, Eric. I think this actually just shows you when I said there was 4 steps, that once you write the letter, make the call, write the note, the last step is to start them on another plan. Guys, we follow up with people with a very consistent, persistent follow-up system that really hits them about every 11 to 12 days. Actually, right after that first initial reconnect, you can actually send them something once a week for 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks if you want, and that will rebrand you as the finance person in their life, or the person that if anything has to do with real estate, they're going to call you, or mortgages, or loans, or whatever. So that's when you can start referring business back to your CPAs, your financial planners, and all that other information. So write out your plan, and if you look here, just mix up the content. Get off of those all-email campaigns. I'm not saying quit doing them. Get some more touches in there. The more phone calls and letters that you can send are going to amplify the results. Emails and letters don't really get you the big result. It's the phone call, the pop-by, the handwritten note that really amplifies all your results. Okay, next slide, Eric. I'm blowing through mine really quick because I just want you guys to know how to take this information and do something with it, but I also want you to keep getting some more information because we got some of the top experts here. We got a whole class I can teach you how to do all this stuff in, and we'll talk about that later. But the first step in your database is to create the blank documents on wherever you wrote there was a letter, create a blank document. Wherever you said there was an email, create a blank email template. And then in most contact management systems, all you have to do is copy and paste your content in. You can call back in, you will go back and listen to this webinar again and pick up all the different ideas, contact our guys that were on the call today, our panelists, and get more information from them. But guys, setting up a plan so that Day 1, this letter prints. Day 7, this email goes out. Day 14, I get reminded to make a phone call. Day 21, I get reminded to send out, or I send out another letter and then send an email. So write it out and then copy and paste that content in. Again, way too much information for us to cover in this webinar today. We got a whole 8-week course where we teach you how to do that. Next slide, Eric. Thank you, man. So set up action plans for everything from loan app to contract, from contract to closing. I mean, put your agents on a plan that updates the agent, the listing agent, and the buyer agent. You guys realize, seriously, the benefit that you have. Now, this is coming from a realtor. When somebody thinks of real estate, I get one shot, real estate, buying or selling real estate. You guys have the consumer that you can buy their brain cell for buying or selling real estate. You get all the realtors. You get the buyer's agent and the listing agent, which is usually 90% of the time 2 different people. You get financial planners. You get CPAs. You have so many different fields that you get to lock up and get business for because you become the brand for the finance person. And I've always been jealous of LOs from that fact that you could run a business that's 4 to 5 times bigger than most realtors in your marketplace if you run it right. So just have different plans of ways that you can automate staying in touch. Next slide, Eric. You create action plans, and in your action plans and campaigns, this is going to take scheduling some time in your calendar to go in and figure this out, because you may not be super techy. All you need to know is, can I print letters and send emails and remind me to make phone calls and remind me to do to-dos? And can I tell it that I want this to happen one day after the plan starts, I want this to happen 7 days, I want this to happen 21 days? Those are the things you're looking for in your plan campaigns. Any campaign or automated process you ever set up, always add one last step, and that's to start up the next plan, start up the next campaign. And what I basically, personally, what I focus on and what my coaching clients have all focused on is just putting 5 people on these plans a day. Don't try to put your whole database on a reconnect plan at the same time, because you can't make 100 calls or 200 calls, or for some of you that have 1,000 or 2,000 people in your database, you're not going to be able to make 2,000 calls. Now, at the beginning of the call, Eric was talking about 120 leads. Do you know how long it takes you to get 120 leads to actually personally phone call and write a handwritten note and put on a plan? At 5 a day, that's 25 a week, that's 100 a month. 120 leads will take you 1 month and less than 1 week to actually personally touch those people, write them a handwritten note, and have a conversation. So there's lots of little tricks there. Again, we'll cover more of that because I want to give more of this time to our panelists. Next slide. I think I should be just about done here. Very good. You want to take over here?
Yeah. I tell you what, guys, just one quick thing. Remember, Mortgage Success Source is one of our sponsors. What Brad talked about a little bit was how to create consistent follow-up and communication. One of the great tools in the industry that's very simple, very easy, has a lot of these automatic campaigns. I know Brad recommended that you follow up, but guess what, guys? You can send this stuff to yourself and then call your clients and your past customers and reconnect with them. Those home opportunity review calls are very valuable as well. All right, our next speaker and panelist coming up is Mr. Manny Gomes. Oh, I'm sorry, by the way, this Platinum Marketing Program is an awesome system for being able to automate a lot of the visuals, a lot of the marketing stuff that you would want to try and stay on top of mind with your clients, but then reach out to them ear to ear and belly to belly and talk to them about that.
And Eric, I'm going to add this too. You don't quit doing the stuff like this. It's all automatic. I said get some mail and get some personal touches. It doesn't mean quit doing your email. It's just make those emails way more effective by adding in a personal touch.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Definitely. Okay, guys, our next presenter is Mr. Manny Gomes, who's going to be jumping on here in just a second to talk a little bit about how to reach the younger generation through social media, video, and those kind of things. And he actually has a special video that he wanted me to play. Now, this is a little bit of a technical trick, but we'll get this thing rolling here in just a couple of seconds while I get the video popped up. Manny, if you can be ready to start picking this conversation up from that point, then we will be underway in just a minute here. I'm going to You
might not remember us, but we met in the 90s. We are members of Generation Y, as in yin yang, yo-yo. Life moved a little slower. Discs were square. Desktop folders had personality. Extra storage space was just a zipper away. There was only one social network, but most of your friends died of dysentery. The only thing buzzing in your pocket was a pet. Until that died too. But at least the troll was still a friend. Lunch was a puzzle, not a picture. You were pumping jams, water, shoes. You didn't have to worry about a news feed full of farm animals. You were busy feeding wild animals. A haircut didn't cost $60. It cost 4 minutes. You really had nothing to lose. Unless, of course, you were playing for keeps. The future was bright. You grew up. So did you.
Gomes. Thank you, Erik, for playing that. I want to talk today about social media efforts, especially as it pertains to Generation Wires. And I think this video illustrated really how important Generation Wires are, and the fact that they're grown up. Generation Wires are now grown up. They're reaching age 30. And I'm a Generation Wire. I was born in 1983, so I actually just made a cutoff. And for those of you who don't know what a Generation Wire is, it's anyone who's born between 83 and 99 is considered a Generation Wire. And Erik, do you have those slides?
Yeah,
Just
tell me when to advance.
Here we go. So I just said Generation Wire is anyone born between 83 and 99. And what's important to us is they're the next generation of home buyers. They're getting to the phase in their life where they're getting married, having children, and thinking about buying a home if they don't have one already. You know, as it's kind of a natural progression of life as individuals reach their later years, later 20s, I should say, into the 30s, it's like something in their minds click, like, hey, it's time to get married, have kids, and buy a house. And we have to really understand how to market to this specific generation, because we can't market to this generation as the previous generation is, you know, post baby boomers or Generation Xers. Generation Wires we have to really cater because they grew up with Napster. They grew up with MySpace. They grew up with Facebook. Now with smartphones, they're on the smartphones all the time. And you know, the millennials will be something totally different, and it's going to be much more tech-savvy individuals who have to go after them. And I think Internet Explorer did a great job with that commercial, because they're identifying with Generation Wires and they say, hey, we understand, we know, and that this is why we're growing with you. And I think that's what I've been doing with my real estate agents, is teaching them how to grow with the Generation Wires and how to market to them. And one of the efforts I utilize over and over again is Facebook. I use Facebook all the time to capture this audience. Research has shown that Generation Wires on average spend over 30 minutes a day on Facebook. So what I do every day, or most days, around lunchtime, I put something up on Facebook. Either it's a chart from MMG, a chart from Loan Toolbox. If there's some economic housing data that just came out, hit the wire, I'll wait for lunchtime to actually post it on Facebook, because a lot of individuals who are on lunch break, they're checking their Facebook. They're getting caught back up. What I also do, every time I have a pre-approval client that comes through, I friend them on Facebook. I friend request them. Hopefully they actually accept my friend request. But now I'm able to really get to know them a little better. When you're sitting in front of someone or have a conversation with a potential client, you ask them the basic questions, but you don't really get to know who they are, you know, what their family structure is like. And having all that information that you could get from their profile, you become more than just a loan officer. You're almost becoming an actual friend of theirs, so to speak, because you know if they went to a concert last weekend because you see their updates coming through. So that's something that works really well, and it's dramatically helped increase the conversion ratio, because once you're friends with someone on Facebook and you get to know them on a more personal level, they're more willing to move forward through the transaction with you. And Erik, can you advance the slide, please?
There you go.
Thank you. This is an example of a conversation I had with a potential realtor I met through Facebook. And it's so easy to find these realtors. All you do is go to Facebook search bar, type in real estate, and every realtor who markets themselves on Facebook shows up. So this is one. I went on her profile. I saw that she had a post from Steve Harney from Keeping Current Matters, and I'm actually a fan of Steve Harney as well. So I simply reached out to her. I said, hey, great article. And we started a little conversation, which led to an appointment setting. So it's that simple. It's really easy to get engaged with real social media. And what I do, I use this in order to kind of, you know, like mine for gold, like you're talking about, Erik, at the beginning. I find good agents. I'm able to notice which ones are actively using Facebook for their marketing efforts. Then I do a little bit of recon. I figure out what agents are top producing agents, what agents are mid-level producing agents. And at that point, I reach out to them, and I try to set out either a coffee appointment or a lunch appointment, and then we strategize and work on their social media efforts as it pertains to, going after Generation Wires. And a lot of times I show them this video, and I highlight the importance as to why we should be gearing our marketing efforts towards Gen Wires. Other than just taking this hunter mentality and looking for agents, I also hold lunch and learns in my office, and we'll invite 5 to 10 realtors, and we'll have a social media day where we'll teach them the best habits to implement each day with their social media efforts. If they don't have LinkedIn, we'll get them set up with LinkedIn. Other things like this that just helps them to really build their business through their social media efforts. And it helps me to get a lot more of their business, because I'm no longer just a transactional person to these agents anymore. I'm actually helping them build their business. And as Erik, as you taught me, we're becoming partners. So just real quick, I'd like to really thank Erik. My business has grown tremendously with the help of this coaching. So Erik, I appreciate everything you've done for me.
Awesome, man. Well, guys, one of the reasons I had a good mix of speakers, I mean, guys, people like Linda and John Murray, just stalwart, experts in this business, major veterans who've been around and doing this business, thousands and thousands and thousands of transactions over their careers, and have had such a huge impact on families. Also wanted to bring to you the perspective of some of our younger members of the industry, not always necessarily age-wise. Manny is a coaching member of ours, and he has done an amazing job with transforming his business, moving towards a heavily purchasely weighted business, and he's attacking what his strengths are. He gets social media. He gets how Gen Wires think, because he is a Gen Wire, and he's using that and leveraging that in his market to build strong strategic partnerships to make a huge difference in the marketing and community. You've done, what, 33, 34 loans so far this year, a little over 10 loans a month, and you've been in the business, what, less than 7 years, right?
Yeah, going on 8, yep.
That's correct. So in a market that's a tough market, and he's Southern Connecticut, right across the Long Island Bay, and guys, even in his market, he's making a difference, and that's one of the reasons I asked him to join us today, is because he has that opportunity to share some of those ideas. All right, well, moving right along, guys, as you probably realize, we're probably on track to go a little bit long today. If you can hang with us, great. If not, make sure you'll pick this up on video. Our next presenter in our lineup is Mr. Mark Madsen, who is a social media expert. He is currently the Search Engine Marketing Director for Best Rate Referrals, but has also built an outstanding business blogging for business, and is usually our mortgage success source faculty expert on social media marketing and search engine optimization. So, Mr. Mark, if you're ready to go forward, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Erik. Today I'll be addressing those of you who are either active mortgage bloggers or just getting started and are considering an online marketing strategy, or maybe you're planning on hiring a professional ghostwriter, but your biggest challenge is trying to figure out how to get the most bang for your buck so that the content you publish online actually drives the type of business you're looking to generate. Either way, my objective in the next 5 minutes or so is to show you how to be more effective at reaching the right buyers online, with the bonus of an agent or real estate company. So step one. The first step really here is to identify a target audience. And you can go on to the next slide there, Erik, please.
Got it.
Thanks. So basically, pick a niche to own and become the local authority on it. Now, as far as internet marketing is concerned, you have to specialize in something specific, because people want to work with somebody they can trust. It is also important to be aware of the fact that the people who find you online are primarily looking for a reason to disqualify you, not hire you. So one way to earn their trust and establish yourself as the authority for your niche is to publish a series of frequently asked questions online that a buyer would ask. And I'm really only talking about 6 to 15 short 500-word articles. And I'll show you how to make those things last a very long time for you on the web. So you want to put yourself in their shoes and try to understand what they really want, and then present your solution to them online in a manner that basically gives them the confidence you can help them achieve their goals. With regards to marketing to your target audience online, people express their fears, their concerns, their misunderstandings about the mortgage process by the questions, or what we call keyword phrases, that they type into Google. So if you can answer those questions clearly, then you start earning their trust and eventually their business. It's really that simple. Except, of course, the challenge is figuring out how to get your information in front of your target audience at the precise moment they're looking for something they need. So on to step 2. Just as Fred and Erik mentioned earlier, you need to go where the gold is. Well, buyers are on real estate sites. According to a stat I literally just made up yesterday, I think, 98% of the people who are somewhat interested in buying a home start searching for properties and exploring neighborhoods on the web. You've heard this before. They're not really concerned yet about qualifying for a mortgage. They just want to do the fun stuff first and dream a little by looking at real estate porn. You know, properties for sale in their community. They search for homes for sale by military bases, schools, amenities, parks. The list goes on. Short sales, fixer-uppers, recent price drops, you name it, they are obsessed over it. This is part of their personal confidence-building process that they need to take in order to get excited about buying or selling. Now, here's a stat I did not make up. Based on 8 years of marketing real estate and mortgage sites, I know that borrowers spend an average of 90 seconds on a mortgage site. But compare those numbers to buyers who spend about 5 to 6 months. And they'll spend those on a few different real estate sites that offer the information about local properties, photos, anything like that. So that's the difference of marketing to buyers versus borrowers online. So unless you have several top-ranking mortgage sites that are niche-specific and drive a significant amount of traffic at the local level, it'll be very challenging for you to win with the content marketing game on your own. So getting on a top-ranking real estate site of buyers before they become borrowers. So here's your action item. Make a list of the top 20 local real estate sites that you find through your own Google search, and then choose a few companies or agents who appear to know what they're doing. One way to qualify these real estate sites is they'll have a fully integrated IDX solution. You can search for properties on their site. The site has to be easy to navigate. They should have a blog. They should rank within the top 2 pages of Google. Generally, those real estate sites that are in the top 5 places on Google are going to be very hard for you to get to. But the guys that are on just at the top of page 2 or at the bottom of page 1 are fighting tooth and nail to keep that traffic. But most importantly, if you're going to work with putting your content, and I'm only talking 6 to 10 articles, maybe 15, if you're going to work with those real estate agents on their site, their sites have to look good, have to look professional and build trust. So step 3 is this. This is your content strategy. Now here, agents with strong sites, they need content, and they need a lot of it in order to keep ranking well in the search engines and driving traffic. The majority of their business probably comes from their real estate site, which means they view it as an asset and part of their survival. My real estate site in Las Vegas easily fuels about 90% of the business for 33 full-time agents. Their biggest challenge is really keeping up with the daily grind of publishing great content to their site. My real estate broker here, he gets contacted daily by loan officers. They want to tell him about their new fancy mortgage program, but he could really care less. He believes that it's the loan officer's job to know about the mortgage, and that's it. When he does ask them for something to publish to his website, they might send over a flyer. And that's it. So here's a great way for you to get your foot in the door with a top-producing real estate company. Making a top-producing real estate company online. Let me be specific about that. You want to make an introduction phone call, and it has to be a phone call on the web. You have to call them. And here's how the call goes. Mrs. Agent, I want to give you something that is more valuable than anything the other 20 mortgage professionals who pitched this week can provide. I want to help you build equity in your real estate site and increase traffic and generate more motivated buyer leads from your site. See, I specialize in VA loans, and I'm confident that a professionally written, maybe 6 to 10-part series of articles on your site would rank very well in the search engines and benefit both of us. Now, I'm only interviewing a few agents in Las Vegas, and I'd like to be one of your marketing partners. May I send you an article to evaluate and possibly publish as a test? I mean, that right there would get most of these real estate agents to listen to at least so you can send them something. If they ask, here are the benefits to them. Your niche content, your niche mortgage content, will drive targeted traffic that they are missing out on because they are not a VA loan, first-time home buyer, whatever expert, right? Now, their organic search traffic and visitor statistics will increase with the more content you provide on their strong site. Also, mortgage content is valuable because it targets buyers who are at the end of the buying cycle, and they're searching for very specific answers to unique loan questions online. And motivated and pre-qualified buyers for an agent, it's great. It saves them time, which is important right now in most of our markets that have limited housing inventory. So on to the next slide, please, Eric. Just to review, pick a niche to own. When you're talking about internet marketing, content marketing, you have to own a niche. And you have to know your target audience's needs, which will be expressed in your articles. Second step, partner with a real estate agent that has a killer site. Yeah, you can go to the next slide there, Eric. Thanks. So pick a niche, know their needs. You can have multiple niches. You can send over a 6-part series on VA or 203K or whichever program you really are the authority on. Publish that content on a killer real estate site and put up about 6 to 15 articles, and that's about it. Now here's a bonus. If they like you, then the ultimate goal is to create your own Mortgage 101 section on their site, keeping in mind that the buyers that are on their site are there 5 to 6 months. And the end result is this. They will read your content. Guaranteed they will read your content. Their agents and buyers will know who you are when they get ready to become a borrower. And if their site is strong enough, then all of the other agents in town will know who you are as well.
Awesome. All right, guys, we're going to keep right on moving. Again, I know the 90-minute mark is coming up just very shortly. We're going to go ahead and, if it's all right with our presenters, we're going to go ahead and try and finish this out today. So those of you who can, we're going to end up being, this is such an amazing program. We got such great information. I want to try and go ahead and finish this out so we catch it on recording for our last 3 speakers, Randall, Jaron, Derek Egeberg, and John Murray. Randall Brower is an active client of ours. He's done a great job with really powering up his purchase partnerships. Over the last several years, he's transitioned his business to one that's producing a lot of purchase business. And I wanted Randall to share with you just specifically how the numbers of it work and how important that has been to his growth and the growth of his business development partners. So, Randall, if you're ready to go ahead and get started for us, go ahead and jump in here.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Eric. Well, go ahead and go to the first slide there, if you will, Eric. The lever. Everybody knows how a lever works. Go back to the one in the middle. With the fulcrum in the middle, if you put in 100 pounds of force, you get 100 pounds of lift out of it. Well, what's the problem with the fulcrum being in the middle? You're not achieving anything. You're putting in 100 pounds of effort and getting 100 pounds of work. Well, how does that relate to the mortgage industry? Well, the way I was looking at it was, if you're putting in 40 hours of labor, you're probably getting 1.5 loans a week, which is about 6 loans a month, which is about 72 loans a year. And that's around the range of what the average loan officer does, is 6 a month, 72 a year. The problem with that is you're only getting back what you're putting in, and the only way to do 50% more in volume is to do 50% more hours. So go to a 60-hour work week, and you just got a 50% raise. Well, what if you want to double your income? Well, now you have to go to 80 hours. So if the fulcrum is in the middle and you're only getting 100 pounds of effort for 100 pounds of force, how do you move the fulcrum? How can you get to doubling your income without doubling the number of hours? Okay, move the fulcrum. What is that? How do you do that? Well, there's a whole bunch of different ways. That's one of the reasons why I went to Erik a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, and said, help me out here, dude. I'm making all the money I want to make, but I'm just putting in way too many hours. So what can I do to leverage? And so the things he started showing me was you don't move the fulcrum, 10 feet in just a few days. You move it 1 inch at a time. And what is that? Well, started working on improving efficiency across the whole process, both lead intake, the application appointment, the contract review, the taking the file all the way through closing. So improve the efficiency of that a little bit. Increase the number of leads. Go from 40 leads a month to 45 to 50 to 60 leads a month. All right. Improve the quality of the leads so that you've got better quality of leads coming in, higher number of those converting. And obviously that being a higher conversion rate. Increase the number of referrals from past clients. Do a better job providing better service to realtors and clients. Look at the affiliates that you're working with. Get the right people on the bus. Support staff, for me, that was, changing some of the people that I had here in the office. It involved changing some of the realtors that I was working with, firing some, getting some new ones, changing some of the affiliates we were working with. Each of those things helped me move the fulcrum just to the left, to the left, to the left. Sales, what I need to do is get better relationships with better partners through developing strategic planning sessions. If you go back to the horsepower analogy back at the first of the show, it was 2 people working independently, 8,000 pounds apiece, but 2 working in tandem could do 104,000. So that's what I wanted to do was get realtors who I was getting more business from. If you want to do 100 purchase transactions or 100 leads from realtors that results in 100 purchase transactions, what do you want? Do you want 50 realtors sending you 2 each, 25 realtors sending you 4 each? To get to just 5 realtors sending you 20 each per year, you've reached 100 purchase transactions, but only working with 5 realtors. And to give a Todd Duncan quote, something I learned from him 10 years ago, be much to few and many will want you. Be little to many and few will need you. So the problem with having 50 realtors only sending you 2 each is you can't be a whole lot to 50 realtors. You just don't have the time. But you can be a whole lot to 5 realtors and helping them with their efficiency. Going to the next slide, if you will, Eric. So one thing Eric helped me with early in the process was looking at what do I want to make? And using this example, this says if I want to make $200,000 a year, and assuming my average loan amount was in the range of $180,000, and my commission rate, assuming it was in the 150 basis, and my conversion ratio down at the bottom, the lead conversion ratio is 50%, then I need 148 leads to convert half of them, which meant I needed 3 leads per month. Now, of course, these aren't my numbers, and of course, they're going to be unique to everybody. So how much do you want to make? And you'll get a copy of this with the information. Is you just key in the yellow fields. How much do you want to make? What is your average loan amount? What is your commission rate? Plug those in, and it'll show you how much that you need to get in leads and conversions in order to make the amount of money that you want to make. So we started with that. I'm like, okay, now we've chunked it down into this is what I need to do. So how do I do that? How do I get my 3 leads every week? Then when I was looking at this, I was thinking, well, this relates to realtors as well. They need to be doing exactly the same thing. So on the next slide, I took that form and I created this one. And I'm like, okay, well, how much do my realtors want to make? What is their average sales price? What is their commission rate? What are their splits? Then looking at their income, how much of their income they want to spend in marketing and how much they want to, gross and net. Of course, you'll get all the rest of that as well. And so I sat down with all my realtors, and so I helped them strategize and plan. How much do you want to make? What kind of volume do you need to be doing? And so I developed partnerships with several realtors. I've got 3 teams that the vast majority of my realtor business comes from. And what I like about working with those 3 teams is they understand the value of a team. And so that's one of the ways I started moving the fulcrum to the left, is developing strategic partnerships with realtors who were sending me much more business than I had in the past. If you will, go ahead and go to the next slide, Eric. So if you want to look at my production numbers, what it did for me, in 2010, I did 64 loans for about $9,380,000 in gross, and about half my business was purchased. And those numbers are really similar from 2009 and 2008. So I was doing fine. I was making the kind of money that I wanted to make, and I got over into 2011, and that's when I went into coaching. I just went to Erik and said, look, man, I'm making the kind of money I want to make, but I really want to get my life back. I want to get out of this 60-hour a week. You know, I'm having to put in all of these hours to get the amount of profit or money, income that I want to make. I'm fine with not making more money. I just want to work less hours. How can we do that? So as we started going through all of these things of how to get more efficient, then in 2011, how I finished out that year was did a few more loans, did a little bit more in volume, took my basis points up a fair amount, and did a higher percentage of purchase business. And then in 2012, numbers not a whole lot different, just a few more loans and a little more in volume, about the same between 2012 was. When I started 2011, I was working 60-hour weeks. I was burning candles from both ends. I was just worn out, fried and frazzled. By the time I got into 2012, I was working 40 hours a week, took 3 weeks of vacation. One of my team members left, got married, moved out of state, hired 2 more, came fresh into the industry, got them trained and up to speed. And so at the end of 2012, I was looking like, heck, I didn't do a whole lot more, but, man, the quality of my life went through the roof. 2013, with the new members, pretty much trained to get there. My transaction coordinator is about to get his license, loan officer license, and he's new to the industry as of just 6 or 8 months ago. So on track, what I've already closed through the end of March, 26 loans, $4.6 million, $245,000 gross, 77% of my business purchase transactions. With the ones I've got on the books for this month closing, it's on the same track there. So if you 118 million in gross commissionable income, or $1 million gross profit for the branch or my production. And so I'm happy with that. So by leveraging, by moving the fulcrum, by getting more efficient in a lot of different ways, by getting the right people on my team, by getting the right realtor partners, by really strategizing with them, sitting down with them, doing strategic planning sessions, helping them be more efficient and be more profitable, sending a good bit of business back to them, it's really helped my business explode.
All right, guys, so thank you, Randall, for sharing the information. Guys, again, Randall's one of our coaching members. He's done an amazing job really embracing the concept of teaming up with and developing strategic partnerships with agents. And if you've heard our webinar series before, and by the way, this is an ongoing series. We do these kind of things on a weekly basis, have been since October last. Heard that we don't even call them referral partners anymore. We call them business development partners for a very specific reason. We want to be an asset to them, helping them do more business in the coming weeks, months, and years. And Randall's probably one of our best and most successful clients at embracing that concept and translating that into real activity that they do hand in hand, that true synergy or leverage that Randall was talking about, where they are working as a team in that market to reach families that need to hear this message. They've done door knocker campaigns. They've done neighborhood farming projects together. They've done all kinds of things that they're doing to leverage each other's talents, but they also become that outside perspective and the advisory, the business advisory resource for them, the masterminding partner, whatever you want to call it. And so if you look at embracing these concepts and what can be done to take action with these ideas, again, I want to challenge you throughout the program today, and we are going to be going a little bit longer than originally scheduled to make sure that we go ahead and get this stuff done. And let's go ahead and move to the next presenter right now. But take one idea, do something with it, and then come back to the video to pick up the next ideas. All right, our second to last presenter today is Mr. John Murray. And when reading his bio, actually just astounded me. I've known John for quite a while. We've been friends on MSS faculty, serving together for many years, and I never realized just the power of this guy's experience and knowledge until we were working together on this program. To John's credit, he's been in this business since 1990, becoming senior vice president with his company. For more than 20 years, he has been closing over $100 million in origination business every single year. Over 9,400 career closings totaling just shy of $2 billion in total production. And in addition to that, by the way, manages a team of about 40 who follow his leadership and guidance to make a huge difference in the lives of their community and in the people that they work with. So, Mr. Murray, would you go ahead and share your wisdom with us, please?
I will, and I appreciate you for putting this on. And I just kind of wanted to go over. I'm so low tech compared to the previous speakers, but I'm kind of a seminar junkie, and I try to take one or two things from every speaker I listen to. And I just recently heard a speaker talking about how important it is to not have only form and structure, but great content. And so she was using an example of a coffee cup and how it had great form, but without content, it was pretty useless. And then she held up an orange, and again used that metaphor of a beautiful structure on the outside, but without great content on the inside. It was basically a beautiful thing, but not useful. So she said, take a bite into the outer form, and it just leaves you with a bitter taste. So you need to have both to be successful. And, my client base is my wealth insurance. It's a basic foundation structure for everything that I do. Yeah, sorry, right there's my first slide. Again, pretty low tech. But, every time I add a new client to my email and CRM databases, I look at it as making a deposit into that inflation-proof account that will pay dividends each and every year, month in, year out, whether we're in a refinance boom or a purchase market. But without form, without substance, it's just like that big Dunkin' Donuts coffee cup that's sitting on my desk right now that sadly is now empty. I try to make it a point to give something of value to each and every client I speak with. After we hang up our phone conversation, I immediately add them to my 2012 distribution list. You're going to do that every single time. If you put it off, you'll forget to do it. And then I send them out an introductory email that has a link to the opt-out pre-screen credit report site that I talked to them about. This is something that Sue Woodard sent to us years ago, as MMG subscribers. Just how you're part of a trigger campaign. If you don't opt yourself out of it, it's home with every one of my clients. They all appreciate that I've taken the time to tell them how to get rid of those annoying letters and emails that they get from just simply going to this opt-out pre-screen and opting out from the credit bureau, being able to take their credit information. And then I also include articles, from 5 or 6 years ago they got from a site that talks about mortgages can be a powerful financial tool when properly structured, using concepts from Rick Edelman and Doug Andrew. And I also attach the pre-qualification letters, the side-by-side comparisons of loan products we discussed, brochures on title insurance, anything that they can talk to me about in that phone conversation. So I load them up with great content, and then I'll contact them constantly. I'm always reminded of that great profanity-laced sales movie meeting that Alec Baldwin did in that Glenn Ross, where he gets face-to-face with his real estate team and tells them the ABCs, always be closing. I just have a little softer twist with that. I'm always be contacting. And it's amazing how that works. Too often seasoned originators spend far too much time trying to win over new clients while neglecting to cultivate their current database gold mine. I love what Fred Arnold was saying in the beginning. It's so true that you build a great structure of solid email clients and referral partner distribution lists, or I guess it would be business development partners, I guess is the term, with some great content. And just like the Field of Dreams, they'll come to you. They're going to be there. And so that our chap #1 manager in Vermont, he's been there for probably 10 years. And, he just does this on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. So we had him present this to our sales team, and kind of what he does daily, the serious practices that he does. But he emails out the cards and special occasions using Loan Toolbox Platinum, MMG news articles, regular updates. That's every day. Then weekly, he'll go into the MMG Weekly, the current events, request feedback from the loan process from clients. He'll always be constantly, going back and updating his clients. And then monthly, he develops a blog, just like Mark Madsen had talked about, and some of the other presenters on this call. But something that we all have to get some kind of a practice like this. And I can tell you, he's year in, year out doing $100 million in Vermont, which, if we opened up an office there, and we heard a newscast that talked about, the 500,000 people in Vermont, and our CEO and I asked Mark, well, I didn't realize that Burlington, Vermont was that big. And he's like, it's not Burlington, Vermont, it's the entire state. So it's amazing the kind of volume you can do with just, making sure that you've got these daily, weekly, monthly activities that are reaching out to your client base and reaching out to your referral partners and reaching out to those business development partners. I love that term, and so as I mentioned earlier on slides 3, I kind of am low tech. The next slide will go over what I do, and it's simply, I simply do the Mortgage Market Guide weekly. I make sure that I send out birthday greetings. I send out those corny, loan toolbox, but they're great. The happy, Valentine's Day and this happy St. Patrick's Day cards and things like that. It's amazing that just reaching out to your clients on a time when they might need you, it's incredible the amount of business you're going to get. Every time I have a loan closed, I've got an MBA student that comes in. He was originally my intern. Now he helps me assist my loan coordinator. But as soon as that loan closes, I give him a list of all my loans that are closed. We go into Platinum Plus. He updates everything. So that way they're always getting these things. It's automatic. It's just something that just like Brad had mentioned, you've got to make it automatic. You can't rely on doing it yourself. You'll never do it. But if you just do this consistently, here's I sent out Mortgage Market Guide, and I can't even tell you how many thousands of loans that's helped me get millions in commissions, really, just reaching out with some great content. And sometimes it's a little corny, but again, it's something that really does make a difference with your clients, and they just think you're reaching them on a little bit more of a personal level. And the next slide, slide 4, is something that we all realize that all good things have to come to an end. And so we're actually meeting tomorrow. We're having a mastermind meeting. We're bringing in our senior management and Mark from Vermont, Brian Comer from Hingham, and we're doing some things. And I kind of stole these slides from them, so I don't know if they're on this call, but I just took them and kind of cut and pasted some of the things that they're doing and bringing to our meeting as kind of talking points. But Mark is sponsoring a social media class for his real estate agents, and it's something that he's got wine and cheese tasting there, but it really is effective. He's going to have them kind of an overview of Facebook fan pages, Google, Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn, and how to best use all of those things to increase their business. So, and then he's also using his website and social media to direct people into his "What Can I Afford" website links. So he's really starting to ramp that up, and it's amazing. Like I said, you can take a very small area that most mortgage lenders have just ignored, and Mark is really making a name for himself in Vermont. And then Brian, who's originally back even in 2003, was a $200 million a year producer. Kind of the things he's doing, again, joining a BNI group and working, with other 5 South Shore Business Network group, acquiring radio spots for advertising for his open houses over the next 24-month period, Sundays 1 to 2, a contractual agreement with the Quincy College to offer non-credit courses for buyers. And then he's training real estate realtors with CE credits through statewide realtors. And again, he says they're very well attended because he serves wine and cheese at those as well. So I think if you lace them a little bit with alcohol, you can really get some real estate agents to attend. And kind of the last slide that I wanted to go over is just something that goes over the tax tables. That one of the things that I give as good content for my client that I think is important, that you've got to make sure that you're discussing something with it that they really can relate to, and it's the tax advantage of home ownership. It could be the last tax advantage we have left based on what's happening, and you keep on hearing things about how they're going to limit us at $500,000 and all of those different things we're going to be hit with as a homeowner, eventually if they get rid of the tax credit. But it's something that, it's in the news and something you should be talking to every single one of your clients about. And again, this is very basic accounting that we go through. And I have a table that I get from the Mortgage Market Guide, but you can get this from irs.gov. The one thing you've got to make sure of is, and I remember hearing this back in the day, from Barry Habib and some of the other ones, you don't ask them what their their annual tax rate is. You tell them what it is. If it's 28, what their bracket they're in, and you should be able to just instantly be able to tell them right off by looking at some of these charts that are readily available to you. And so, simply if you're married filing jointly and you're making over $100,000, I just know they're in a 25% bracket. You take that interest rate times 50,000 would be about $10,000 in interest they would be saving, and then you add in their taxes. Let's say it's $3,600. You got $13,600. You times that by the 25% that their tax bracket is. That's their amount they're going to be able to write back off, which is $3,400, and divide it by 12, and that $283 is their savings when comparing it to renting. It's important that you're all doing this kind of a calculation. It's a very simple calculation. And again, I tell them I only play an accountant on TV. I talk to your statutory tax planner. You should get a qualified tax planner if you're currently just doing the standard deduction and not itemizing, because not only are you going to be owning the home, but you have other things that will make more sense than just, chances are they'll make more sense just claiming the standard deduction. And it's something that it's kind of just being a little bit different than hopefully the next loan officer that they talk to, but something that's very important to do, and you've got to set yourself apart. And I'm living proof. This isn't rocket science. Becoming successful in the mortgage business just can be as simple as building a solid database and always doing what's right for your clients. I know that we've mentioned Todd Duncan many times, and one of the things that sat with me is that he tells us your clients can easily discern the difference between an originator who's out to make $1 and one who's out to make a difference. So to me, I just stopped worrying about my paycheck. I started focusing on making a difference in the lives of my clients, and it's amazing, but it's there. And I think all of you will find that that's what's going to happen as long as you do what's right by your clients. And just remember to build your client base. It's a simple thing, but I think so many of us just ignore it. And again, I want to thank you for having me on.
Awesome, John. Thank you so much for sharing, the wisdom. I'd love to see what your teams are doing. And guys, the fundamentals of this is, by the way, this stuff is available to you even if you're not a Mortgage Market Guide member. I'm going to call an audible on this one, guys. You go to the mortgagemarketguide.com website. They typically will offer a 15 to 20 day or 21 day free trial. You can jump in there. You can go to where the bond charts are, where these tables and charts are on the website. Grab the chart. And even if you don't end up, subscribing or staying on with Mortgage Market Guide as a long-term member, this is an opportunity to grab some information from the site that you could use over an extended period of time. The other thing that I was really excited about, John, that you shared is that, guys, this is one of the major benefit opportunities to be able to help a customer with narrowing the gap between what they think they can afford and what they want, especially if you're in a higher index market, a higher property value market. Like the Northeast or the Southwest or the the coasts, the California states. The practical reality is the mortgage tax deduction can make a several $100 a month difference to how the borrower feels about their mortgage payment when you compare what they're paying in rent with what they would be paying on a mortgage. It's also easy enough to refer them to their CPA or tax advisor to adjust their W-2 withholdings so that they have more spendable cash throughout the year to cover that slightly larger mortgage payment than what they were a little bit used to. And that can help them go ahead and get into a property now versus feeling like they have to wait 6, 12, 18 months and where that possibility is that they'll be squeezed out of that market. So that's my favorite takeaway from John's program. All right, our next up on the roster, and again, we're gonna finish this sucker out. We are going to go ahead and do what we have to do to get you the full program of today's session. Again, if you do have to jump off, be sure to make some notes and take some immediate action before you pick up your next phone call, before you grab your next email and respond. Please take the 2 to 3 minutes to go through those planning. Putting it in play action steps that you've heard me refer to a couple of times throughout today's program. But without further ado, one of my favorite loan officers in the country, one of the guys who's really making a huge difference in his community, and what he's going to share with you today is how to cast a huge net, how to reach massive groups of people, hundreds and hundreds of potential homeowners in a very, very short period of time, through the information marketing and educational seminars that Derek has perfected and refined. And by the way, in a very small market of Yuma, Arizona, relatively low purchase amounts and relatively light population down there, I'm sure Derek will tell you a little bit more about. In addition to that, he's a fellow member of the 40 Under 40 Club, having won that nomination multiple times, and a very great all-around guy. So go ahead and take it away and bring us home here, Mr. Derek.
Sounds good, Eric. I appreciate it. What I would like to say is go ahead and go to the next slide, Eric. What you, as the listener to this call, want is exactly what you need to be putting on with your seminars. You got on this call not wanting to be sold anything. You wanted some great relevant information, and you wanted to have something that you could go away with and make a difference in your own life. Here's a picture of one of our seminars. We had in excess of 200 people attend a homebuyer seminar. And what John talked about, when John says people can sense the difference whether you want to make $1 or you want to make a difference, just get lost in the shuffle. Stop trying to make it a big sales pitch about you. Make it a big sales pitch about your affiliates, your community, other referral partners, and I think you can make a big difference. So if you go to the next slide, Eric, that's what you can have happen. But again, what I want you to start with is, what are your expectations? What did you really want out of this call? Do you want a few tidbits that you can implement into your business and make a difference for you, your family, and your coworkers? Or did you really want to get hard sold something and the ABCs of closing? And my guess is you just want some usable information and you want to be able to act on it on your own. So if you go ahead and jump to the next slide, Eric, like I say, we're going to burn through these 12 really quick steps. All your attendees really want is some education. They want no sales commitment. They want useful information. and they are coming there because they have questions that they need answers to. It's your job, my job, everybody else's job who presents to figure out what they really, really want. And probably some free stuff, whether it's a door prize, a giveaway, something else like that. So number one, you're perfect there, Eric, leave it on partners. You need to get some partners. The second you do them yourself, I have 5, 6, 7 people show up, and it's not really a great environment. The second you put some partners in play, it's their databases you're getting other people to get into marketing-wise. They have different connections that you do, so get as many as you can. If you're a lender, you go get realtors, you go get electricians, you go get flooring experts, you go get somebody from the local community, maybe it's your local housing authority, somebody who can speak a little bit different language than you as a lender, because now it's this group of industry experts that's presenting. It's just not a lender's sales speak, if you will. So the more partners you have, the more you get lost in there, the better it is for you, because now you're advertising all of these joint people. Also, you can get all of these other people to sponsor door prizes and spread the cost around. Next slide, please. Get a bunch of partners set up. Set the date. Commit to a date. Just be done with it. Don't overthink the date. Give yourself 3 to 4 weeks and pick a Saturday or a weekday in the evening. Saturday, 10 o'clock or 1 o'clock, so you're not taking up the lunch hour. Weekdays, I would never do it on a Monday or a Friday because it intervenes with long weekends if somebody's out of town. Make it a Tuesday or a Thursday. When I have done them jointly, I will say, let's go Thursday at 6 p.m. and Saturday at 10 a.m. so you catch the people who are on odd working shifts. But commit to a date. Tell all of your partners what the date is. Then go to slide 3, which is registration. You've got to get people to register for the event just the same as you did here. Eric and all of the other presenters had an idea of how many people were going to attend, so you can kind of adjust your setup accordingly. If you have 50 people register, you certainly don't want to have people walking into a hall that can seat 500. It's going to look fairly sparse. Conversely, if you have 100 people register, don't have seating for 25 and you don't have enough. So have free online. You can use Eventbrite. There's other services that you can do, online services. Have a phone number that they can call and register, preferably just an odd line. Leave a message. They really don't want to talk to anybody. But at the door, you have to have registration cards. Everybody signs in. Why? That's what gets you entered into the drawings. If you don't register, you don't get entered into the drawing. Why? Because none of this matters if I can't call, contact you, email, or write you later after we're all said and done, because nobody buys a house sitting in a seminar. They just want the information. So after they've registered, Eric, go ahead and hit me with the next slide.
Go ahead and start talking. It's taking a few seconds to load.
No problem. So after you've registered, pick an event that is a neutral area. I've done them at my office. I've done them at real estate offices, and it sounds and feels salesy. Pick a library. Pick a civic center. Pick a school. Pick a church. Something that feels and sounds educational. If we do them at the civic center or we do them at the local library, I have significantly more attendance than I've ever had at the biggest office, real estate, or lending office ever. Why? I feel like they're going to have that ABCs. They're not going to be closed at a library or a place of learning. So once you have your venue picked, then come up with some materials. Number one, the only reason you're printing materials is you want to give them something they can feel and touch and read and leave the venue with. If they have your information, they now know how to call you, contact you. Put your best foot forward. They've got great flyers in Loan Toolbox. You've got great flyers in MMG. Here's an example of some of the things that we put out. You can see I just pulled the credit scoring handbook right out of Loan Toolbox. I have my own concierge package, which I've swiped from several other people in the industry. The real estate company that we partnered with put together some flyers on homes that they were building. So again, it's just information to have them leave with. And what I find is interesting, we had about 25 partners in the seminar that you're seeing these materials from. Only 2 people put any materials together. I, as the lender, and the real estate company. All of the other partners didn't bother putting anything together. What that means is the only 2 people remember is myself and the real estate agent. Next slide. So you've got some basic materials. What are you really offering to get them there? Number one, if you see this kind of an advertisement, the left we had what our topics were, the right was when it was. People want to show up for free stuff. Come up with some good door prizes, give away a flat screen TV, do free services from the other sponsors. And the funny thing is, the more sponsors you put together, none of it's coming from me, none of it's coming from you. All of the sponsors that are partaking because it's you and your expertise putting this together, they're the ones donating all of the door prizes. But the better your door prizes and the more you can market those, the more butts you'll put in seats. And that's the key, is putting butts in seats. So after the offer, you can also offer things like free credit reports. You need to come up with a call to action. Say you'll run their credit for free. You'll do a 30-minute free review of their credit and their home buying situation. Get to know their personal story. If you give them some kind of an offer and you can add that information and start to talk to them on a personal level, not in the venue, come see me. Here's my card. Here's the free credit report. Let's pull this. I'll meet you tomorrow at 10 o'clock, whatever it is. You need to value and honor their time and their story, because if all they hear is your sales pitch from the stage, they're not coming. So after the offer, you know it's something simple as your time, but what does the agenda really look like in a seminar if it's well planned? It's about an hour, 3 to 4 topics, 15 minutes a piece each. Tell your speakers it's 10 minutes so you don't run over, kind of like we've done here. And here's my most successful one, is you get the local housing authority talking about, say, down payment options. You, as the lender, talking about certain things, whether it's credit repair or credit myths or mistakes some people tell other people to make. You know, the biggest one for me is when family members say, oh, pay off all your credit cards and close them. You and I know that absolutely destroys your credit score, but I use that example on every seminar because I can get people nodding their heads yes, that, you know, Uncle Earl told me to do that. And then lastly, stick a real estate agent or the broker up there, and then anything else that may be specific to you locally. Now, you know, the big thing when we had the $7,500 or $8,000 tax incentives, those are hot button items. The housing market is coming back. You're finding local housing authorities coming up with down payment monies again. We have a seminar set up for next Tuesday for my local real estate community, and I have 62 real estate agents assigned to or registered. I put it out there online. They have said yes, they're coming. 62 real estate agents in my local market with less than 400 real estate agents in it is amazing, but they're coming because they want to learn about the down payment assistance. Number 9, track your statistics. As silly as it is, every seminar I've had, it's between 75 and about 81 to 82%. The big seminar, 82% of our attendees checked on my registration form that they saw this in the newspaper. So you use Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, talk about all the social media things, call your referral partners, put an ad in the newspaper too. Don't ask me why, because I would think the Generation Y is not reading the newspaper, but that's where they say they're seeing this from. Number 10, get reporters involved. Do a press release to your TV, your radio, your local newspaper. You'd be surprised how easy it is to get reporters to write up a story when you say, this is a community event and we have our local housing authority talking about this. This is what we're talking about. Nowhere in here do you hear, this is the Egeberg story. This is a big community event. So get your local newspaper reporters, your local TV and radio reporters involved, and they will carry the story. Beyond that, number 11, come up with what your sizzle is. Timing is everything. Like I say, we have 62 real estate agents registered because we're talking about the new down payment assistance that's available here in Arizona in the rural counties. The old $8,000 or $7,500 tax credit, obviously those are gone, but what's your local sizzle? And I guarantee you every market has something you can present the sizzle with, and you can get lost. It's not about you and your specific offering. It's about the timing of what is happening in the local marketplace. So position yourself through research, whatever it is. Linda talked about becoming an expert. You've heard about a couple other ideas. What is it? Is it home buying for women? Is it military? Is it hometown heroes? Come up with something specific that you can brand, kind of like the mommy makeover. And if you can put the sizzle in and you can add quite a few referral partners in there with you, the key is the follow-up. Want. wanted something, give them more opportunities to ask questions. Give them more opportunities to follow up with you, because they've never told you no yet. The only time they've told you no is when you stopped contacting them. So seminars are actually fairly easy to put together, and what I like about them is I can get lost in the mix and just be one of the players, even though I'm the guy that's controlling it all, and you can really do stuff like this, because this seminar that you're seeing here was not about me. It's about something timed in the marketplace, and it's about people that really wanted to learn about what we were offering, which is how to become a home buyer.
Awesome, awesome, Derek. Well, guys, that about wraps up our program for today. There's just two quick things that I want to ask your support and response on here. Actually, I'm going to go interactive on all of you and ask for your feedback. I know we put a fire hose of information in front of you today. We put a ton of great content up. What we want to really ask for your assistance with is let us know what you would like to see in future programs. If there were ideas or concepts in today's programming that you really would like to go in a lot greater depth on, please just reach out to us and let us know. I want to thank all our panel of experts today. I do appreciate you guys taking the time and energy. One of the reasons that I decided to go ahead and stretch the program is because, look, these guys invested their time. They put their research together. They planned out their presentation and program. And going into this was an experiment, putting this type of a mega webinar together with such a strong panel. But I thought it was the right thing to do with the audience that we had at hand here today, to go ahead and get you guys the gamut of information that we put together in this program, even though it ran a little longer than originally planned. What I would love to hear from all of you is if you would go ahead and hit the Q&A and chat and let us know what you would like some more direct assistance with. What elements of today's program would you like us to go deeper on in future webinars and bring some of these panel of experts back to do a more in-depth, a little bit more tactical, a little bit more expanded program about the nuts and bolts of how to make it happen in your business. Of course, any of the great ideas that you've heard today, the key to them is taking action. The key to results and getting something to happen in your business based on what you've heard today is going deep and finding out what it's going to take to get that going for you. One of the best ways we've found to help people understand the true value of coaching is to experience it through one of our strategy sessions. So if you're interested in getting a cost no obligation strategy session from one of our Maximum Acceleration coaches, go ahead and post that in Q&A and chat. Keep in mind we only have a handful of these sessions available each week because it's based on the schedules of our coaching team. So please understand that it'll be filled on a first-come, first-served basis. If you would like to request one of those strategy sessions, simply post the best phone number and email address for us to contact you for scheduling into the chat and Q&A. Or go ahead and hop on the mxlcoach.com/strategy and we'll get that request taken care of. Also, many questions were asked today during the course of the program. We will be following up over the next several days to make sure all those questions do get answered. If there's anything here at the end or even back a little bit further in the program that you'd like to get more specific help or support with, go ahead and post those into the Q&A and chat as we're wrapping up a couple of these last talking points with today's event. Other upcoming events to be aware of, Mr. Brad Korn is going to be going deep in an 8-week, 8-part web shop series where he's going to walk you through step-by-step how to set up an automated, high-touch, make-the-phone-ring-again follow-up plan. The Make the Phone Ring Again web shop series will be starting on, actually the slide's wrong, it'll be starting on April 22nd at 10:30. You can find out more information on the website, coachkorn.com/mortgage, coachkorn.com/mortgage. Mr. Brad Korn is an expert at 8x8 and 33 touch, automating the high-touch process. Last thing I want all of you to do, you all invested your time in today's program. You've heard me mention this a couple of times already throughout the course of today's program. The idea here, the thing to think about is ideas are great. Information is wonderful. Have any value if it doesn't get used? And the obvious answer is no. Ideas without action are useless. They are worthless. Only when you take ideas and implement them do they have any value in your business. So you've invested the time, and I want to applaud all of you and congratulate you because you guys are the 1%ers who are actually here instead of the 99% who are not. So take something from today's program and actually put it in play, okay? The way that you do this strategically is, one, decide one step at a time, 1 foot forward. You got to crawl before you can walk, before you can run, kind of a concept. So what was the one most valuable thing you heard from today's program? Decide what it was. pick the one thing you're going to do first, whether it's the seminars that Derek talked about, whether it is the some of the ideas that Brad shared about a reconnect plan and reaching out to your database and offering them the home opportunity evaluation, whether it was posting on Facebook, and some of the tips that Manny shared about doing it at lunchtime. Beautiful, brilliant. I mean, when are these Gen Yers going to be on Facebook looking at stuff? When do you want to be at the top of that posting notifications list kind of stuff? I mean, just thinking about some of the simple ideas and concepts. What was the one most valuable thing you heard about in today's program? Second step is, what action do you need to take that to make that a part of your business on a daily basis? And decide that action plan, outline the action plan, and move forward with it. Thirdly is, by when are you going to have that action implemented? And fourth is, who are you going to ask to hold you accountable? And this last concept comes from the point of, it's so easy to break a promise to ourselves. It's much more difficult to break a promise to somebody we trust, respect, and appreciate. So if, find somebody that you respect, that is somebody you're going to feel guilty about breaking a promise to. Ask them to follow up with you. Whether that is a boss, a colleague at work, somebody that's a little bit of a friendly competitor internally across town, or at a different company nearby, whether it is a spouse or somebody else like that that's in your personal life that you have a lot of respect and trust for, and you're going to feel bad if you don't keep that promise, ask them to be your accountability partner. Of course, a coach can always be a great accountability partner as well. If there's anything myself or the rest of the coaching team here at Maximum Acceleration can do, feel free to reach out to us. We'll talk about the opportunities that we can do, what that looks like, what the commitment and investment is on both sides, and we'll take that conversation a little bit further. Otherwise, I want to applaud all of you for investing your time in learning and growing how to power up your purchase business. And one final thing that I'd like to share with all of our panelists and my co-host Brad for today's program is, thank you so much for the wonderful value and content you've brought today. My personal feeling is it's one of the best programs that we've done in years, with bringing out some great information and some great nuggets of ideas to be able to really help people power up their purchase business and take it to the next level. So thank you so much for all of your energy and effort in putting this great program together. With that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and step off here from the audio. We have a couple of behind-the-scenes things that we need to be doing here. The webinar platform will be open also to be able to make sure you get all those Q&A opportunities in. Again, if you would like to go ahead and take advantage of one of those strategy sessions, please go ahead and just post that into the Q&A, and our team will be following up on that here over the next several hours and into tomorrow to make sure we reach out and get those issues, those questions addressed, and opportunities to provide service to you taken care of. Again, feel free to go ahead and continue to post those questions into the Q&A. We're going to leave the webinar platform open for another probably 15 minutes or so here, just to make sure that you guys have that opportunity to get all that in there. Again, like I said, thank you for your time and investment of your energy in today's program. Please let us know what topics you would like us to go deeper on in future. And with that in mind, Mr. Brad, if you have any final comments you'd like to share with our audience today as we close this thing out. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for a wonderful webinar. Like I said, I'm going to be hopping off the audio. We'll leave this platform open for about another 10 minutes just to finish some of the back-end stuff, and look forward to seeing you all on a future webinar series. Talk to you soon.
The organizer has ended the session, and this